Thank you for joining today's conference call with Governor Andrew Cuomo. I will now turn it over to Governor Cuomo.
Good morning, everybody. You can call me Governor Cuomo. You can call me Governor Cuomo. Just don't call me late for a meal. Joined today by Melissa DeRosa, Robert Mejica, Jim Malatris, Gareth Rhodes, and we have Mike Copey, who's the head of emergency management for the state of New York, on the phone. Today's day 163. New York conducted 54,000 tests yesterday. 476 were positive. That's 0.88. 0.88. That is a great number for us. Pardon me if I sound excited, but these things in life make me excited. So that's really very good news. 2 New Yorkers passed away, and they are in our thoughts and prayers. But I think all New Yorkers should feel very satisfied with the progress we've been making to see just that 2 New Yorkers passed away. We don't want to lose anyone, but once you accept the reality that we will lose people from this COVID virus, that number is extraordinary relative to where we've been, as you all know. 535 New Yorkers were hospitalized. That's a new low since this began. 127 in ICU. That's a new low. 62 intubated, and that is a new low. So on the numbers, God bless New Yorkers. They're doing what they need to do, and we've made tremendous progress, and now we're focusing on protecting the progress we've made. And that is the same 2 main issues we're dealing with: the spread across the rest of the nation and continued compliance in our state. State liquor authority, state police have been working on the bar and restaurant issue, which is a serious issue for us. They did 19 violations last night, 7 in the Bronx, 1 in Brooklyn, 2 in Manhattan, 3 in Queens, and 6 in Suffolk. Again, New York City, we need the NYPD to step up. I understand the sheriff's office is helpful, and that's good news. But sheriff's office is relatively small. It's like 150 people. NYPD is something like 35,000 people. This is an enforcement issue. It's not an informational issue. People have the information. They know what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing. This is an enforcement issue, and I need the local governments and the local police departments to do the enforcement. It's that simple. We're still recovering from the tropical storm. The utility companies, some are doing a better job, some are doing a worse job. Con Edison and PSC&G are doing the worst jobs in terms of recovery. I've asked the Public Service Commission to do an investigation, and they're in the midst of that. But this is an old story at this point. There will be storms, and the utility companies know that. I've spoken to them about this numerous times. The essential service a utility provides is, at this point, it is preparing for a storm and recovering from a storm. That is the essential service. That is the art form for a utility. And Con Ed and PSC&G did a lousy job. It's a technical term. Lousy job. They were not prepared, and they didn't anticipate what it would take to get back online quickly. And there's nothing new here. There's a mutual aid system. We've deployed the mutual aid system when numerous geographic areas are hit at the same time. The mutual aid system becomes stressed, and then that utility had to prepare with enough additional crews to do the repairs quickly. And it's not an excuse to say, oh, well, everyone was stressed and the mutual aid system was stretched thin. We know that's going to happen. It is inevitable. And that's what they're supposed to be prepared for. They're also supposed to be prepared to provide people with information so people know when the power is coming back on. It's not an excuse to say we were overwhelmed with calls. Of course you were overwhelmed with calls. That's what happens after a storm and when power is out. Look, I'm personally disappointed in them because this is a conversation I've had with them. But forget the personal disappointment. PSC, I have told them to be as aggressive as the law will allow. Because New Yorkers are fed up. And especially Nassau and areas within the Con Ed jurisdiction, they're fed up and they're right. And I'm with them. The PSC is doing the investigation. Depending on what they find in the investigation, they can require fines, penalties, restitution. And I want the utilities to know that we do not abide by the concept in New York that anything is too big to fail. Your franchise can be revoked. I am not bluffing. I don't bluff. Your franchise can be revoked. Con Edison, your franchise can be revoked. And I am as serious as a heart attack. PSE&G, you know your franchise can be revoked. And that is a real possibility. Well, we're big, we've been here for a long time. I don't care. If you're not serving the people of the state, they give you a license to provide a service. If you don't provide the service, they will revoke the license. And the license is your franchise. And again, I don't want to prejudge the PSC investigation. We'll get the facts. But this is not our first rodeo. And we'll get those facts. We'll get that report. But this was entirely unacceptable, in my opinion. On the schools, there are 107 school districts that have not submitted their plan. For those 107 school districts, how you didn't submit a plan is beyond me. But they didn't submit a plan to DOH or SED. And if they don't submit a plan by this Friday, they can't open. So maybe they just have determined that they don't want to open, which is the only logical conclusion. But if they think they're going to open, then they have to have their plan in by Friday, period. Now, let's say we're near August 15th for these places, these districts that haven't sent in their plan. August 15th, we're talking about a couple of weeks. The main arbiter here of whether a school district has an intelligent plan to reopen and whether people have confidence in that school district's plan, it's going to be the parents and it's going to be the teachers. And that requires discussion, and that's going to be a dialogue. You're not going to dictate to parents that they have to send their child. They don't have to send their child. The parent is responsible for the health and safety of the child, and they're not going to send the child if they don't believe the plan makes sense. I've said that from day one, and I'm with the parents. A teacher is not going to come back into the classroom if they think the classroom is not safe, and that's right. The school district has to have that dialogue. I said, mandatory, you have to have at least 3 open dialogue sessions with parents and teachers on the plan, by Zoom, by online, however a school district wants to do it. And they have to have mandatory a dialogue with the teachers, separate, because teachers do have different concerns or additional concerns beyond just the student population. The Big Five school districts, as we call them, have to have 5 sessions. We're August 10th. You have to have 5 sessions. They have to start, and they have to start soon, because you don't want to rush these conversations. You don't want to create more anxiety for the parents and for the teachers. So that's what the school districts need to do, and they need to do it ASAP. Besides the 107 districts that just didn't put in a plan, some put in an incomplete plan, and Department of Health will be advising them of that. New York City put in a supplemental plan over the weekend or last Friday, and that is being reviewed. But again, that plan for New York City, for all these school districts, schedule the parent briefings, schedule the teacher briefings, satisfying DOH, satisfying SED. That's bureaucratic approval. This is not a bureaucratic approval process. This is a parental approval process, and this is an approval process where the teachers feel safe to go back. And that conversation is the real conversation. And again, they have to do a minimum of the state mandates, 3 sessions with parents, 1 separate one with teachers, 5 with parents for the Big Five. The federal government has taken actions over the weekend. The president issued some executive orders on the possible federal legislation, unemployment insurance, FEMA costs. I will have comments on that at 1:30 this afternoon. I'll be doing a briefing on the federal response at 1:30. And anyone who would like to join us at that time, it would be our pleasure. With that, let me turn it over to the operator. We'll take a couple of questions, and then again, we'll do the briefing on the federal elements at 1:30.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, please press star and then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, star 1 on your telephone keypad to ask a question. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. First question comes from the line of Andrew Sniff, or Sif rather, from WNBC-TV. Your line is open.
Andrew? Andrew? Operator? Anyone?
Hello? Yes. Again, to ask a question, please. Or again, Andrew, your line is open.
Andrew, she's talking to you, Andrew, not me. I know my line is open.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So my question is, given that you made the decision to not allow indoor dining or museums to open, why would you allow schools, which are indoors, to open? What is different about that reality in terms of the risk that you would allow schools to open? And secondarily, might you still make the decision that you don't like, for example, the New York City plan, and not allow them to open?
Yeah, the first, a school plan, and I'll ask Jim and Rob to chime in here. The school district plan is different, Andy. Most of them rely on cohorting. So the theory is a student is not going to be in the immediate company of hundreds of people the way you would be in a museum. You're walking around, you're walking past a continuing group of new people, right? They cohort, they take protections, they're in an isolated place, isolated controlled circumstances. Now, it then falls to if that local school district has a plan that makes sense and does that. That's the big if. The state said you are below the viral transmission threshold. You can open if you have a smart plan, and we have thresholds for Department of Health and SED. But the real determination if it is a smart plan is for each of those 700 school districts to put out a plan and go to the parents and go to the teachers, and they will determine if it's smart. We're just doing thresholds. Yes, you can open. Our viral transmission rate in New York is one of the lowest in the nations. Yes, you can reopen if you have a smart plan. If you have a smart plan, that's the DOH threshold and the SED threshold for minimum smart plan. But then it's the parents and the teachers. New York City, they put in a supplemental plan Friday or something, put that on the web, call the meetings, have the discussions. You can listen into those conversations, vet the plan, get past just the skeletal outline to real questions, and then they will determine if it is safe for that plan. But it's fundamentally different than a museum because it's a much more controlled circumstance. If the parents of New York City and the teachers of New York City say it is a safe plan, then it is a safe plan. Education is fundamentally a local responsibility, right? We have 700 school districts. People move into neighborhoods because of the school system, right? You move into a community because you checked out that school system. So local input here is key. And that's a long-term historic fact that I respect. And this is our way of making sure there's local input and control. So we did the thresholds, but they're going to make the determination, and not just the school district, Andrew. It's the parents and the teachers, and that's why I keep pushing their inclusion in the process. But Rob, Jim, do you have anything to add on that?
You said it exactly right, Governor. It's not a general public sort of facility. There are strict guidelines. You are cohorting students, limiting the exposure, strict masks and face covering requirements, and social distancing. So it is different and differentiated, but ultimately it's left up to the local districts.
Next question comes from the line of Zach Williams from City and State Magazine. Your line is open.
Thank you for taking my call, my question. State lawmakers today are investigating COVID-19 in nursing homes. There was some criticism for State Health Commissioner Howard Zucker for not appearing before the panel, which, you know, is that there has been a lot of back and forth before about whether you have characterized some of these inquiries as partisan based. Would you support an independent investigation in order to bridge some of this mutual suspicion about partisanship, getting into a better public understanding of what exactly happened in group home facilities and nursing homes?
Yeah, first of all, no, I wouldn't do an investigation as to whether or not it's political. Everybody can make that decision for themselves. I think you'd have to be blind to realize it's not political. Just look at where it comes from and look at the sources and look at their political affiliation and look at who wrote the letter in Congress and look at what publications raise it and what media networks raise it. It's kind of incredible. Look at the basic facts on where New York is versus other states, right? You look at where New York is as a percentage of nursing home deaths, it's all the way at the bottom of the list of states. So I don't think anyone, what's political, what's not political, everyone can make their own decisions.
But why not have a panel of experts who ostensibly would not be political at all, would be trusted by Democrats, Republicans, independents alike, to investigate what exactly happened in nursing homes?
Yeah, there is no such thing as a person who is trusted by all Democrats and Republicans. That person doesn't exist. The Department of Health, those are just numbers. Their report are numbers. You can see what you want in the numbers, but the numbers are the numbers. You can politically spin numbers, but those numbers are numbers. And, as you know, the Department of Health review was then reviewed by credible industry experts, right? So to your point about why don't you get independent experts to review the numbers, we did. Well, people don't think they're independent experts. Yeah, I know, because nobody's ever going to agree on who an independent expert is. Everybody has their own expert, right? Everybody has their own opinion. But, Melissa, do you have anything to add on this?
No, I mean, in terms of the call for an independent review, Congress has done a number of hearings. Now the legislature is doing hearings. Dr. Zucker participated for hours last week. We said if the legislature had any additional questions, they could submit them in writing, and we'll respond to everything in writing, which I assume they would make public. And so it seems that, I mean, I don't really know where else you want this to go. Congress is doing it. The state is doing it. We've participated. We posted everything that we have on the website. We've done specific dates on when infection rates came in from staff members, dates of deaths, dates of probable deaths. We're one of only 9 states in the country that reports probable nursing home deaths. And so I would agree with the governor that this is just, at this point, seems very overtly political and obvious. Operator, I think we can move on.
Your next question comes from the line of Dave Evans from Channel 7 ABC. Your line is open.
Thank you. Hey, Governor, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I'm not going to ask you any personal, intrusive questions.
I don't mind, but just ask Melissa, She knows a thing or two about fashion.
Yeah, I know. And I clearly don't, so...
So anyway, okay, but seriously, my question is about schools also. The mayor and chancellor this morning said that they're going to be sending out schedules starting on the 17th, so parents will get an idea as to what they're looking at. And I guess, for example, one parent might see their child go to in-class learning on a Monday and a Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday they stay home. To me, that sounds like a system that's going to be fraught with all kinds of problems. But I wanted to ask you your thoughts, and also if it's expected that mom or dad stays home with the child, how do we get our economy back up and running when we want as many people back, working as possible?
Yeah. Dave, it is a good question. First of all, you look at the 700 school districts, there are 600 varieties, okay? Remote learning, hybrid learning, in-class, small cohorts, bigger cohorts, outside, inside. What is a smart plan? A smart plan is the plan that community says is smart. And that's not rhetorical. It gets back to the point that education was a local decision. That's why we have 700 school districts, The amount of local flexibility has been great. There's basic state laws, but then it's up to the locality to decide what school system they want for their children. When you say they send out a schedule, a school district cannot say, parents, here's the plan, do it. Teachers, here's the plan, do it. That's not how education works. It is a parent-driven process. So we're August 10th. New York City has to, by state mandate, do 5 sessions with parents to explain the plan and get their input. I guarantee you on the first call, somebody's going to say, by the way, my kid is home Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever the days are. I have to go to work. Where do I get child care? That's going to be a question in the first of the 5 calls. Either the local school district can answer it or they can't. You have some school districts who are setting up child care facilities. So the answer would be, on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, there is no school, but there is a child care facility. And you can drop your child at the child care facility, and then you can go to work. That I don't know the specifics on all the districts, but it's August 10th. There have to be 5 conversations. You're talking about the first week in September. That's like at least 1 call a week. And you're going to have to conclude them before you say school is open. So you have to do 5 sessions in about 3 weeks, right? Set up those sessions, have those conversations, get the teachers involved, and start the dialogue. Because there's going to be that question. The next question is going to be, well, on the days that my kid doesn't go to school, how does he get food? How does she get food? Next question is going to be, how do we know if somebody's positive? We know there's asymptomatic spread, so the temperature alone doesn't work. Are you going to be doing random testing? That's going to be a question. You know, the teachers are going to be asking about testing. I think the questions are going to be much more intelligent and informed than many school districts anticipate. I believe it's going to cause them to revise their plans. Because I think a lot of these school districts, when the parents hear the plan, they're going to say, I'm unsatisfied. That's why I'm anxious that they actually start the conversations. Because your question, Dave, smart as it is going to come up in the first session.
Your next
operator,
question.
Let's take one more, and then again at 1:30, I'm going to be doing briefing with a guest on the federal movements. Go ahead.
All right, noted, sir. Yeah, your last question comes from the line of Erin Stephenson from News 12, Long Island.
Hi, Governor. I just wanted to see, do you have a list of the 107 schools that did not submit plans?
Yes, my press office will post it within the next 1/2 hour.
Okay.
If they do not, please call me and say, Governor, your press office has failed to perform, and the PSC will do an investigation and will fine them, or will revoke their franchise, just like PSE&G and Con Ed. Thank you very much, guys, for being with us. I'll talk to you at 1:30. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.